On this lesson, we're going to begin adding some highlights and shadows to our illustration. So first thing I want to do is make sure that everything that I draw is going to get masked on this shape. So I'm going to select this shape, the bigger one, the one that I had in blue, and what I'm going to do is go here, right here on the bottom. I can see that I have three options, and I want to select the one that is on the right, that is called Draw Inside. So I can press that, and you can see how my outline now has this dotted line around our shape, indicating that now we can only draw inside. So I'm going to deselect actually my shape, because if not I'm going to change the color, and select this dark blue that I had already selected, and make sure that I have it on stroke. Next, I'm going to select the blob brush by clicking here or pressing Shift B on my keyboard. And when I do that, I'm going to get my brush. Now if you see, when I paint here, you can see how it gets masked. Sorry, it gets masked around the shape that I have selected. So I can only draw inside the shape. So I'm going to begin adding some shadows here. And one thing that you have to make sure you always do is that when two surfaces touch, in this case the ear and the head, when they touch, it is probably a place where you're going to see the darkest of the shadows being there, because these two surfaces need something so you can easily separate where one begins and where the other ends. So I'm going to make some shadows here, and then actually for this illustration I'm going to assume that the light is coming from here. So if the light is coming from here, I know that these parts that are going to be on the other side are going to be darker, so I have to make sure I reflect that. And also this area of the ear is probably not going to get as much light, so I'm gonna add some shadows here. And then this ear, I think the whole ear, because it's going to be on the back, it's going to be difficult that light reaches this ear that is on the back. And then here I also think that I need some shadow to set apart this area of the face from this area. And also on this part, just as the same that with the ear, we're not gonna have a lot of light here, so we can change that. And then here, this is actually going to be one of the darkest places for our illustration. And then here, right next to the fang, and also here. I'm gonna make my brush bigger by pressing the close bracket and make a bigger shadow that is going to be here on this side of my elephant. And this is an approach that you can do for this illustration. You can always try to be thinking where the light is coming from, so that's okay. But you could also always remember that you have a reference image, so you can see here how the actual real shadows affect your elephant. So for example, in here we can see the light is coming actually from the opposite direction that I had picked, because here you can see right below the ear how this shadow is on the leg. So you could try to replicate that if you want a more realistic approach, but if you feel comfortable, you can try to simulate your own light and see what result you get. And I'm going to make my brush smaller by pressing open bracket. And now I just want to add some small shadows here, so I can I can keep more detailed, and also to these areas. Also here on the eye, it's going to be darker. Less light is going to come from there. So you could try to make all these detail to look even more prominent on your illustration if you give some of them, and you don't have to make this perfect, like right there where the line was, because that is not the style we're looking for. So you can simply do it like this, and make the detail more prominent on these areas where you're going to have actually less light. Okay, so now that I have finished, I think, with my shadows, I'm gonna go and add some highlights. So I'm gonna select this, make sure that I'm on my stroke, and select this lighter blue. And you could use a lighter green, but I always think that if you use a color that is a little bit different, for example, instead of only using greens, now I'm using some blues, that could help your illustration to look more interesting instead of just a flat illustration. So in this area, I think the light is going to be there, and also on this part of the ear is going to be kind of prominent, so something like that. And then on this part of the head, and also I'm gonna make this smaller a little bit, maybe here, and on this part of the face, a little bit of shadow coming there, and also here on the bottom, like, and here on the top of the eye, and on this part of the face, maybe. So you can always zoom out a little bit to see if what you think is working, and just a little bit here on this back here. Now that we're done with the highlights and the shadows, what we're gonna do is to stop drawing normal. We're gonna go here to this icon to draw normal again, or just go here to the selection tool and double click again outside this shape to go back to drawing as before, to anywhere near in your canvas. So what you're gonna do next is select the fangs, and probably when you draw them you made two different shapes. So to make a compound path, as I have here, all you have to do is go here to window and appearance. If you don't have this window open, you can see it there. But to make a compound path, all you have to do is select your shape, go here to object, compound path, make, or press Ctrl 8 on your keyboard. And once you do that, you're going to have a single, or a compound path, to better say it, where you could draw. I'm going to go again to the drawing side mode by clicking here, then deselect to make sure that I don't accidentally change the color, and make sure that my stroke has a darker blue color. And I'm going to get a little bit near, press Shift B on my keyboard to bring the blob brush and make just a simple shadow like this. And with this, we have finished our illustration, and you can see how now you can see the different areas of our elephant. And with this, we conclude our tutorial. But on a bonus lesson, I'm going to teach you how to, with very few clicks, make variations of your illustration to get even more from this technique. So see you in the bonus lesson.